Hello, class. Are you ready to start Module 2? Outstanding. Let's begin. Take a look at your page in your assignments, and you will see that we are going to be covering adolescence in the theoretical context. And this is really where the rubber meets the road in terms of our theorists, our developmental theorists, and who is promoting what. And I think it's going to be something that you'll find very interesting. Again, if you click right on here, which you probably already did, you'll get right to this video. And please do put your name there. It is very helpful for me. Okay, well, let's get started. First of all, I would like you to go ahead and read Chapter 2. This video is going to make a lot more sense if you pause the video right now. Go ahead and read Chapter 2. It's all about our educational theorists. Very interesting. There's good stuff in here. Take your time, pause this video, read Chapter 2, come back when you're ready. Okay, you're ready. Here we go. You are tenacious. And we are back, and we're going to talk about these theorists. Notice how the book's done a really nice job here of summarizing the theorists. It's talking about biological views, starting more with a nature, our genetic codes, and then it moves into more of a nurture. So biological, psychoanalytical, and psychosocial views, and then cognitive and social learning views. And each one of these views is very important in how we look at people, at our adolescents, and how they develop. And I know you may be thinking, well, why isn't there just one theory that fits all? Well, humans are actually pretty complex, and not one theory fits all as we would like it to. So there's lots of different theories, and we can kind of look at different parts of it. A story that I'm reminded of is the 5 people in the dark looking at or bumping into an elephant, and they're trying to describe it for each other, and they're feeling different parts of the elephant. Oh, I feel a tree, I feel a trunk, a tusk, and they're describing different things. Well, an elephant is kind of a complex creature, and if we're going around bumping in the dark, as we often do with developmental psychology, we don't know everything about humans, how we develop, but we can know a lot. And so as we put our different theories together, we can start to make some sense. We can start to bring together some good ideas. And that's exactly what these educational theorists are doing. Take a look, and it is in right here. If you click right here for the Chapter 2 presentation summary, you will be taken to this page right here. And what is happening is this summary is my perspective or my viewpoint of the educational theorists and what I would like to highlight for you. Okay. And again, of course, read Chapter 2 before you do this. All right, well, let's take a look at some of our experts. Select one of the expert thinkers below, and this is in your assignment, and we're going to be talking about how they might interpret this problem with Annalise. So we're going to be talking about Annalise, and we're going to be thinking of it in terms of these educational developmental theorists. Annalise starts 7th grade and seems to appear eager to be in the classroom. She's always on time and prepared, ready to learn. Okay, so since August, she's doing a great job. Then in October, Annalise arrives late each day to class and often forgets her books and other materials. By mid-October, you notice that she's changed her hairstyle and is beginning to dress differently with clothes that hug her body. She also begins wearing makeup, and in November, Annalise suddenly stops doing any homework, her grades decline, and in an effort to get at the root of what's happening, of course, you as a good teacher, you keep her after class and you say, Annalise, is there anything wrong? And she replies, no. And she just looks at you, waiting for a response from you. Now, what is happening with Annalise, and what should you do as a teacher? So, be thinking about that in a little bit, as we go through these educational theorists, because these educational theorists are going to have different perspectives on what is going on with Annalise, and we can kind of work our way through this. As we talk to Annalise a little bit more, as we talk to the parents more. What should you do in this case with Annalise? All right, well, let's take a look at our educational theorists, developmental theorists. The first one, there it goes. Our first one, very famous. In fact, he's the first one to deal with adolescence, and that's G. Stanley Hall. Our second one is Arnold Giselle. Third one you probably recognize is Sigmund Freud. And the fourth one is there is Anna Freud, Sigmund Freud's daughter, who did a lot of work with adolescents. The second row, farthest on the left, is Erik Erikson. And then, of course, there's Jean Piaget, French, and there is Lev Vygotsky, Russian, and finally Albert Bandura, go America, and all his social learning theories. Each one of these people have contributed significantly to our understanding of adolescent and middle level cognitive and social development. So let's take a look at each one of them separately. G. Stanley Hall starts off, biology wins. He's the father of adolescent psychology. And he says, this famous saying, ontology recapitulates philology. And what he's trying to say, and I'm sorry I've butchered that by mispronouncing it, but what he's trying to say is the adolescent goes through a developmental stage much like humans have gone through an evolutionary stage. So we're going from a primitive man to a more refined man. Does that happen? Well, I can say that my 14-year-old son, who's going through adolescence, appears pretty primitive in a lot of ways, and we're hoping that as he grows, he will become more refined. At least that's his mother and I's hope, because there are some activities, goodness, I love my son, but we're going through a stage. I went through that stage too. Sometimes we appear, teenage boys can be pretty primitive. Also, teenagers, Stanley Hall said, go through a period of strum and drang where there's storm and strife. They're angry. They're not sure they understand everything, and they're maybe fighting what they're feeling. So that's a stressful time going through. And sometimes teenagers have that. They're emotional. They're going through stresses and traumas that the rest of the world doesn't really understand. And so that's reflected in G. Stanley Hall's appraisal of the teenage development. And you can read a lot about G. Stanley Hall there on page 32 and 33. All right. Arnold Giselle, he is talking exclusively about genes, as we learned more about how genes play a part in who we are as part of our parents, as part of the natural tendencies that we have. His was in more of an explanation of biology. There is a process that is biologically determined when we're going to go into the next stage, when we hit puberty, when we're going to be, our minds are ready developmentally to move into that next stage of maturity. So he is saying we are biologically controlled as we go through this adolescent and middle level development phase. We can't really change it, so let's deal with these situations as the students have them. Don't be angry with these students. They're doing the best they can. It's biology driven. So that's his explanation. And you can choose to agree or disagree with that. And in fact, you're going to get the opportunity to reflect on these things. All right, very good. Yes, we're ready for Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud, very famous. He has all of his stages here, and you're probably already familiar with that if you've had any psychology classes. Oral, that's infancy. Babies learn about the world around them from putting things in their mouth. And then there's the anal. That's the time that the they're looking at being potty trained because they're looking at what happens as they eliminate the phallic stage. They discover their gender, that boys are different than girls. And then you hit a period of latency, ages 6 to 11, where the boys kind of hang out with boys and the girls kind of hang out with girls, and everybody's kind of okay. They're not really in a period of sexual tension, and everybody kind of moves forward with that until we hit puberty. And then in puberty, we start to have those biological urges, the urge to reproduce. And so this is a time, that's our next time, the genital time, the genital period stage that Freud is talking about. Okay, Oedipus Rex, the play where the boy is jealous of his mother's attention for his father. Freud talks about that. The Electra complex, where the girls are jealous of the attention that the fathers give the mothers. I'll let you decide on that. I have some, mixed feelings about that, but it's in the book, and I'll let you read about that and let you think about what your thoughts are. Individualization. Freud is talking about the child relationship moving toward growing cooperation, equality, and maturity as the person becomes an autonomous person within the context. So these are important things that Freud has developed. Let's talk a little bit about Anna Freud. Anna Freud talks a lot about the ego, the superego, and the id, and the book actually does a really nice job of this on page 36. She's talking about the superego being this is what I know to be right. This is the part of me that says, all right, I need to go ahead and do my homework now. The id will be the one to say, no, I need to go watch television now. I have this time, so I'm going to go use it to my own benefit. And the ego and the id and the superego are always kind of battling it out. They put it there as the good angel and the bad angel. Yeah, you can decide. The ego is the one that's deciding which one they're going to do. And they're looking at, your mind is looking at, as you develop, what you're doing with that id and with your superego. It's an interesting theory, for development. Anna Freud had some good ideas, and I think that you'll like that. They're on page 36. Okay, Erik Erikson. He's got some great stages of development: infants, toddlers, preschoolers, and the stages are what I find is just truly interesting. And I'm going to read it off the book here rather than reading it off the screen because it's a little tough for me. It's on page 37. Basic: trust versus mistrust. This is for birth to 2, and then toddlers 2 to 4, autonomy versus shame and doubt, preschoolers 4 to 6 years old, initiative versus guilt. So he's talking about the balance, and some are able to balance better than others. Grade schoolers, this is industry versus inferiority. Adolescents, this is when we get them. The identity versus diffusion. Young adults, intimacy versus isolation. And then it goes on, middle-aged and then elderly. So I think Erik Erikson's got some interesting ideas. Take a look at those, and they're on page 37 and 38. Okay. Working our way through here, Piaget, huge. Piaget has the 5 dynamics of development, and what he did was he was developing these theories in France, pretty much just with his own kids, but he's got some really good ideas and some things that he could demonstrate that children go through. And these are a schema, that is a framework for identity. Adaptation, you adapt to your environment. Assimilation, where you get in more information about your environment. Accommodation, you make those changes. And then equilibrium, that's where you have achieved the information that's coming in is what you've expected, and you've already made those adaptations and assimilations so that you are confident in that skill, whatever that skill is, be that a physical skill of shooting a basketball or making an A on a geography test. Anything goes through those dynamics of development. Okay, he's got 4 stages of cognitive development. Birth is the sense of motor, where the child, the infant, is working with their hands, figuring out how arms and legs operate. Pre-operational, they deal with the world symbolically because they're learning language, but they still aren't able to logically process through. Concrete operations, the capacity for logical reasons, that happens at age 11, and then that's when they come to us. Formal operations, they begin to think more logical and in terms of abstract. So if you have a child that's not quite at the level that you think, they could be back a level, they could be in concrete where they should be in formal operations, so you may need to help that student get up to speed where they need to be. All right, let's go talk about Vygotsky. Vygotsky's got this great thing called the zone of proximal development, and I like this graphic that's here. Basically, it's saying that there is a sweet spot for learning. The level of confidence that you have versus your level of challenge. As your level of confidence goes up, you want to be challenged more. Otherwise, you're going to be bored. If you are very good at, say, playing tennis and your opponent is not very challenging, you're going to be bored. However, if your opponent is really good and your level of competence is not that good, competence or confidence is not that good, then you're going to be in a state of anxiety, because here you are, a high challenge and you've got low competence. So you're above your anxiety. So what you want to do is you want to keep your students in that sweet spot where they're challenged and they still have that competence in that area so that they feel good about the learning. They're not bored because the assignments are too easy, and they're not anxious because the tests and the quizzes are too hard from the material. So looking for that sweet spot is what teachers do. Albert Bandura, very important, because he's talking about we learn by watching what others do, and as they do these things, are they getting rewarded? So if you watch somebody in class, if a students are watching in class when a student misbehaves, they're watching very carefully what the teacher does. Is that teacher going to come down hard on them, send them to the principal, raise their voice and, slap the desk or something? They're watching very carefully to see your reaction to that student, and they learn very quickly what your expectations are for the classroom. So enjoy those first days of school, because the students are in observation mode. They're just watching what you're doing, and they're also watching what other students are doing. So this is important because it's vicarious reinforcement. The students in your class, as well as any situation, are going to learn by watching what others do. Is there positive reinforcement for that, or is there going to be punishment for that? All right, let's see. I'm going to say his name wrong, and I apologize. Havergurst, his theory says that a adolescent is going to accept who they are, how they're built. They're going to develop mature relationships, develop a social gender role, acquire emotional independence, prepare for a career, prepare for marriage and a family, and develop a set of social values. Take a look at, let's see, yes, Lewin, page 44. Basically, that C&A, that childhood and adulthood, as that childhood and adulthood starts to merge toward each other, that area where it crosses over is called adolescence. In some social contexts, the behavior is considered adolescent. In some social contexts, the behavior is considered adult. In some things, the child's may be thinking, wow, I've got to do these adult things. I want to do these adult things, but I'm not quite ready. So we have that strange crossover between childhood and adulthood right here. And Lewin talks a lot about that. Kurt Lewin talks about that. I think you'll find it interesting. Bronfenbrenner, page 45, has got the influences of the outside influences that come to bear upon the adolescent. And it's talking about a microsystem. Of course, that's the system where the family, a religious group, the peers, school, that has probably the most influence. Then we're talking about a mesosystem, an extended system, that extended family. We're talking about things, family of the friends of the family, and then the macro system. That macro system is everything that's involved: neighbors, peers, media, and I might say media kind of gets in there into the mesosystem. It'll try to get into the microsystem too, but it's interesting how that all works. Personal issues. Take a look at page 47. Read through that and reflect on, when do adolescents become adults? Adolescents in some cultures or in some frameworks are going to consider you're an adult when you can get your driver's license. You're an adult when you get your first job. You're an adult when you first, you can vote, when you can drink, when you can smoke. Those are the types of things that are sometimes considered adults. When you get married, are you an adult? Those are things that help to define our rites of passage from adolescence into adults. So think about the responses that they do. They do some surveys, and it's kind of interesting there. Personal issues, when do adolescents become adults? Page 47. Read through that. I think it's interesting. All right, and that's it. When do adolescents become adults? Right there, page 47. I think it's some interesting reading for you. Okay, very good. Let's talk about Annalise. What might the educational theorist say about Annalise? And as we look at Annalise, think about which theorist that you might identify closely with. Any one of the 8 theorists that I've briefly gone through, the ones that you're reading a little bit more carefully and learning more about, you can answer that question in terms of those, and you'll post that there. I believe that's on Blackboard, but let me go back here and go here. Okay, very good. All right, yes. There is some guiding questions. Yep, yes. Put your responses here. I would like you to put your responses. I'm on section 2. I said Blackboard, and that's incorrect. I would like you to put your responses right here to Annalise in your module. So take a look at that. Look at page 31 in your textbook. Which one of the developmental views, biological, psychoanalytical, cognitive, or social, do you identify with, and which theorist do you agree with? So answer that question. What would that theorist, what would you, using that theorist, do to find out what's going on with Annalise? Okay, and let's see. If you would like to answer that question, here is guiding question 2. What's happening with Annalise? What factors do you think might be impacting her change in behavior? And then what changes did you notice in yourself as you were going through? And what educational theorist, developmental theorist, do you think actually was something that comes close to what you think your answer might be? Okay, very good. So drop that in there. 6 to 8 sentences. Do I say that someplace? Yes. You do not need to answer each question. Okay, very good. Well, let's go with section 3. After learning the various views of adolescence, choose the one that you find most interesting. So the book has covered 8 or more. I've talked about 8 or more. What did they say that sparked your interest? What were they right about? What were they wrong about? And what questions might you have for that theorist? And this is kind of a takeoff of what we've been talking about. But in this question, I would like you to post your response in 6 or so sentences to Blackboard, discussion board, theorists discussion. And I've included some samples for you so you would know something about what I'm looking at. So if you go to Blackboard and you go to, I'll get there. Well, it always takes a second longer than you think. There it goes. Okay, if you go to Blackboard, you go to this course, and then you go over here to the button discussions. So go to the discussion board, and here it's talking about, okay, there's your All About Me introduction. That's from Module 1. This is your theorist discussion. This is what I'm asking that you respond to. What do you think is right or wrong? And again, I put the questions there. And when you are ready, click on that. And I've already got some posts here from these, about these developmental theorists. And you can read these, get an idea of what a response is that I'm looking for, and then put your own response in there. Put your own response right there. Okay, very good. 6 to 8 sentences. That's for section 3. Section 4. Section 4, I would like you to begin the first phase of our major project, our research topic. Now, this research topic can be anything that we will be covering in this textbook, in this course. So if you would like to read through the chapter topics through the table of contents, that's great. Maybe you want to take a look at the difference between nature and nurture, biology versus environment as your topic. But you're going to be doing a research topic. The research topic, you can learn more about it on your syllabus, page 7 and 8. The only thing that I'm looking for you to do now is look at a research topic, give me a title for your research topic, and just a few sentences. So research topic, title, and 2 to 3 sentences on Blackboard. And the reason that I want you to put it on Blackboard is so that you can have your topic and no one's going to take it away from you. So go to discussions, and then go to the third one right here where it says research topic for summary. So select your topic, select your title, and a short summary sentence about it. Look through the table of contents for ideas for your research. It's going to be on blend space, and I'll let you read that in pages 7 and 8 of your syllabus. But all we're trying to do right now is just trying to think about it. What do I want to choose for my research topic? So that is all I'm looking for. Nothing too big, nothing too difficult, just to get you started on it. You don't have to get started on the project at all, just the title, what you want to do, and give me some summary about that. Okay, and you put that right here. Please do check before you select your topic that someone else hasn't already selected their topic. We don't need I don't want to read the same thing twice, and we want to have a variety of topics available. So please do check before you select, and then once you have selected, do post it here so no one else will take your topic. Okay. We are almost done with this. Let's see. There we are. Last section. Okay. The developmental theories, Jean Piaget used to help explain why surprising your students with something that they observe, how that contradicts something that they believe they knew to be true, creates a powerful teaching tool. This is something that I use a lot in my science classes. It's called a discrepant event. When you see a piece of paper floating, just from somebody's hand that's underneath it, which we talk about doing. That is a surprise. You're like, well, that shouldn't just be floating there. Is it static electricity? Is there some wind, or what's going on? So you've created that moment of disequilibrium that Piaget talks about, that difference between assimilation and that difference between what they know to be true and what they're seeing. So this is a great tool for you to consider using as a teacher, whether it's in social studies, math, science, language arts, what is the difference between those things? So what I'd like you to do is I would like you to take what you already knew, your ideas that you already had in place as you go into educational psychology, and what surprised you as you read through this text. And then I would like you to put what you learned. And I just need 3, and they can be short. 3 things you already knew coming in, 3 things that surprised you, and 3 things that you learned. They can, again, summaries, short, take this whole section here and put that all together. And that's it. Congratulations, you've completed Module 2. I look forward to your creativity. I look forward to your work. Please contact me, gbradley at uscupstate.edu, or 864-503-5570. Happy to talk with you about any topic that you would like to talk about, and I'm here to help you. Look forward to talking with you, meeting with you, and looking at your material. Have a great day.